everything seemed fine, but, deep down, I knew something was really, really off. Walnut Street and Chestnut Street were burning down. I'm like, fuck this, I'm out. Hey, what's going on, guys? This is Dave coming at you from Da Nang, Vietnam. And it's been a hot minute since I gave you guys a video, but a lot has happened since then. Quite a lot. Been a lot of motorcycle accidents, couple surgeries, moved a couple times, but now I'm set. Finally finished with my first book. It's in the process of getting a formatting done and going back and forth, having a little bit of issues, but I am on fire, baby. I used to do some crazy, wild alpha videos before they were cool, before you had dudes screaming online with their shirts off about what it takes to be a man. Yeah, I was doing that back in 2015, but I just wanted to talk about how I came to this conclusion real quick. I lived in Philly for about 5 years, Center City, and it was great while it lasted. It was a good time. I was living paycheck to paycheck. Everything seemed fine, but, deep down, I knew something was really, really off. And I'd known that since high school, since grade school even. And, it really just, I knew something was off. And then 2020 hit and coronavirus hit and the elections hit and riots hit and Walnut Street and Chestnut Street were burning down and smashing windows and looting. And just the hatred, the pure hatred coming out of everyone was just incredible. I'd never seen anything like that in my entire life. And I was just at that point, I'm like, fuck this, I'm out. I'm struggling to survive, taking the train 3 hours every day to go to work, barely surviving paycheck to paycheck. It seemed good. I got all these things, decent paycheck, but what do I have to show for it? No girlfriend, no love, nothing to do, can't afford to go out. Go to work, come back, cook myself dinner, and that's about it. Watch some YouTube or Netflix and fall asleep. That's about it. And, that was my breaking point right there. It was the final straw. So I left the U.S., went to the Philippines, and it was amazing at first. It was a completely different world. The lockdowns were over. It didn't have to worry about any of that, but it is a third world country, so it is very different. And there was a serious culture shock going into there, but it's a beautiful country, but the people are even more beautiful, and just they're kind, they're welcoming, and they would give you their shirt off your back if you needed it. And you can offer them money, they won't even take it. That's how kind they are. They're that kind of people. But, I kind of went there for a different life, looking for love in some places and just really being able to live in a lot of other places and live well. And I made some mistakes in the Philippines. I'm not going to lie. I made quite a few. And we'll get into that in later videos, but it made me realize something about myself, and I had to grow and I had to experience some of these things to get where I'm at now. So, I met someone after a very brutal experience with an ex, and you will also get into that later. But I met someone and we fell in love, and we kind of clashed at first because I still held on to some of those Western values and Western thought processes that and now that I realize that they're off, they're not right, they're against what God really wants for us as a civilization, as humanity in general. And it took a lot. It took me almost losing her quite a few times, and me waking up in the hospital after a motorcycle accident with a bunch of broken ribs and no idea where I was, concussion, and a state-run hospital. And it was awful, 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 awful. I may have made a video about that a while ago, but I haven't made a video in quite a while. So I left there. I said, you know what? I love you. If you want to come with me, I'm going to Bangkok, but if not, I'm going anyway. You're welcome to come along. So she did. She came along and we never looked back. We traveled all over Southeast Asia with worrying about where we were going next, worrying about if our next Airbnb was going to be a serial killer or not. I just had a wild experience with not that much cash and running up my credit cards like crazy. And it was just a wild experience. And I couldn't be more grateful for it. But I also realized, and this is after my latest motorcycle crash, I was still spiraling and I still knew something was wrong in my own life and I couldn't figure out what it was. And until I sat down and actually put my brain into it and pen to paper, hands to the computer and just thinking about it, I saw for what it was. The West is spiraling right now. I left Philly and it was just, there was so much hatred and just so much animosity that wasn't there before. Maybe it was, but all the things that happened in 2020 just brought everything out. All the animosity that people were holding. And, I realized that since I was a little kid, we're George Carlin was right. It's a big crowd and we ain't in it. And we're raised to be victims our whole lives. And we have this victimhood mentality that seemed to be gospel that was being taught in schools and our culture and our civilization in general. And it's not really like that here. I mean, it's here and there, and some of the foreigners bring it here, but their culture is not built on that. It's more familial. It's more pride in their country, pride in their people, pride in their families is the biggest thing. And in the West, it's completely opposite. It's a big learning experience and it's a big culture shock. So, I mean, I had to stop thinking of, what I was going to get out of it and start thinking about what I can do for other people without asking for anything in return. And that's what really kind of birthed Welcome to the Shit Show. And it's really, it's just a spiritual battle manual about living life in comedy and looking at it and laughing and looking at clown world and laughing our asses off at it. It's not for everyone. Hopefully it comes out soon. I'm battling with my publishers to get the platforming done, but I am self-publishing it along with 3 other books that are following. So I've created Crafting Change Media Corporation, which is going to be a flagship of 4 different titles. And I'm really looking forward to it. We have one that's going to be the first one, Welcome to the Shit Show, and it's 114,000 words of excellence. Nah, but it's just real talk, real conversation, and it's something that we all need to hear. And some people will like it, some people won't, but that's not for me to worry about, is it? That's for them. And then the second one is going to be the Red Seal Chronicles, and that one's a fiction series that's going to be a whole world and lore built, kind of like Lord of the Rings and C.S. Lewis, The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, and that's built on more of a metaphysical, fictional world, and it takes place actually here in Vietnam, and that's a fun one to write. But it's a very creative, very metaphysical work that delves into fiction and some reality there with metaphysics and what God is, what the meaning of life is, and a lot of cool things. And then the one after that is going to be The Revenant City of Shadows, and it's this dystopian future where it's a revenge thriller, and we go on a journey, so to speak. And my TV just shut off. Here we go. It's still going. But that one's a revenge thriller, and it's going to be a fun one. I did the screenwriting for that, and I'm going to move it over to novel platform. And then the fourth one is going to be Forged in Fire. It's crisis forged leadership in times of chaos, and that is going to be a big one, and hopefully that one gets out to government institutions, to schools, to corporations, to people that need it, really. And it's about changing your life and building intrinsic motivation to really build out of chaos. And that's how you become a leader, out of chaos. And it's not setting up for peaceable times where everything's going to be honky-dory. No, it's going to be times of chaos where you learn, and that's going to be the crucible that guides you out of that, and it forges you to be that leader that you need to be. But like I said, those are the first four, and hopefully there's going to be quite a few more coming off of that. And, I'm going to put out these videos again, and it's going to be a good time, baby. So listen up, subscribe, and catch you on the flip side, baby. Peace.